a lot of these beautiful practitioners and master practitioners I've never actually met. So this is all the first time for me. So I'm learning about everyone just as much as everyone watching is learning as well too. So Dagmara, who I met for the first time yesterday, there's emotional well-being, anchoring in the body, self-awareness, expansion. So tell me a bit more, Dagmara.
So also outside of training with Terry in NLP, I'm very much focused on the body, on emotional work. Like I perceive body as the temple where we can find our answers, understand things, also find safety. Nice. Instead of going to minds, a little bit like Kate said, but also my expertise is I work with this concept of the inner child. So a little bit like therapeutic approach, like going back into where this all originated in a sense.
Yes.
And how does that reflect on what's happening in our adult life?
Wonderful.
So basically it's emotional release, work with body, a little bit regression. I don't know if I forgot something.
It's okay.
Yeah. Basically looking for the solutions in yourself, like more self-aware and kind of integration work.
Healing as well, you do, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Healing. So,
and I'm really also honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, togetherness always, right? And now we've got, thank you, Mara. Now we've got Sandra as well, Sandra Albertson, a master practitioner and life coach. Sandra, hello, where are you?
Hi. Hello.
Hi, love. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Yes, so I'm based in Cape Town, and thank you for letting me be part of the group. I'm very happy to meet you all and be able to connect. I am also an NLP master practitioner, trained with Terry, and a life coach. I don't necessarily have a particular niche, as I said before, but I have a very deep interest in helping particularly new generations, so teenagers and the early 20s, trying to help them get the resources that they might have forgotten through their academic years, and make them understand that they have the resources they need. They need to be adaptable and flexible to be able to live in a world that's becoming increasingly challenging. Yes, so that's one of my areas of focus.
Much needed at the moment as well, right? Those teenagers and the 20-year-olds are being launched into a world that's pretty different at the moment, so it's brilliant. Thank you for being with us. That's great. So we've also got Lee Filmer Hallendorf. Hello, Lee. Where are you? I've never met you before, but hello.
I'm going to unmute myself. I briefly kind of jumped on yesterday, but you never saw me. Yeah, thank you also. I'm very honored to be here. I don't have a specific niche, but I work primarily with hypnotherapy and NLP. I've kind of moved away from actual structured coaching. But I'm very fascinated at the moment by the panic and the domino effect that's going on with this COVID ID. And I just feel that there's so many people that are going to need help in the area of, losing money, losing things. I've found already I've had clients canceling. So just by being here, I appreciate all of you accepting me in this group, because I'm wanting to bring my business more and more online. It's something I'm not that aware with, and I've been aware of, but I've been very proactive with Kylie, and I've been working together with one another, sort of enhancing each other's businesses and practices, and it's been huge benefits. So thank you, and I look forward to hearing what everyone says today.
Wonderful. Nice to meet you, sweetheart. And then finally, we've got the technical guru. I don't know what I would do without this wonderful lady. We've got Kylie Ann Bowers. Now, Kylie is hosting this because this is all new for me. I do Facebook Lives normally, but only on my own. So this whole technical side of things, I'm definitely a newbie. So Kylie, hello, my darling. And you're incredible. You're an NLP, hypnosis, time-back techniques practitioner. And what would you like to get out as well and to be able to talk about, please?
Thank you so much for having me, and it is truly an honor to be here. So for me, I do a lot of work with people, also based, like Kate says, on finding the answers within. And I truly believe that Corona has brought about a time of healing, self-reflection, and that moment to pause and just stop and reimagine things. And for me, I would like to look today, and I've given it a bit more thought, is a lot of the spaces that I'm involved in is small businesses. And a lot of people are feeling the effects, that fear, that panic of losing business, like Lee was saying. But how can we work differently? How can we reimagine things? Because if we realize that we have the remote control of our lives and that life can happen for us as opposed to us, then this is such a beautiful opportunity to reimagine the way we live in the world. So that's the flavor that I'd like to look at today in terms of what I can bring to everyone, and more focus on, yeah, the small businesses, and again, like reflecting on oneself and healing those wounds and increasing your enoughness so that everything around you becomes enough.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you for everything you've done to help.
Pleasure.
Because it's absolutely amazing. I don't know what I'd do without you. So, okay. So have I missed anyone? Is anyone else here that I'm missing? Have I got everyone? Perfect. Right. So that's an introduction to everyone. Very honoured to have everyone. So let's have a little look. I don't know if there's any questions or anything that... Okay, so Lynn, really interested in learning more about the teacher, child, parent triangle. Absolutely. So should we start with that maybe? The teacher, because obviously the child, well, the teacher, you know, let's go to the expert, go to the specialist in that. Teacher, child and parent triangle.
Okay, so this was something that was just given to me. It just came to me one day as I began to work with child. I began to work in the home ed community. We're a home educating family anyway, regular home educators, and I know there's a lot of child anxiety in that area. No, not all of them, but some have been pulled out of school because they can't cope, or they've been bullied or whatever. So I was amazed at the response, how many people were describing lives that were almost made dysfunctional because of the condition of their child and the various conditions that their child was said to be suffering from. So that's where I began. And the first lesson I had to learn is, if I'm asking for families with anxious children, I cannot expect that anxious child to interact directly with me, because they're not going to. Yeah. So that pushed me into seeing that I want to reach this child and I'm not giving up. So it pushed me into seeing, how do I reach the child? That showed me that actually wherever you've got an anxious child in a family, you've got an anxious parent. Yeah. And I've got to work through the parent, but it's just a blessing, because then I get to work with the parent and then the child. And then a business acquaintance of mine from many years, Julia Bramble, she's a school governor, not in my area, but she's a school governor, and she was interested in my work. And it was she that said, you know, can you bring this into schools? Because the teachers need help too.
Absolutely.
An escalated teacher cannot support an escalated child. No. And so that's where I just thought, right, this is the triangle I have to work with.
Can I just ask, what advice would you, like, we're in this situation now where the children are like, that they've been put into a situation now. I don't know if they're aware, they probably are aware, but there's panic going on all around. And it's almost like we have to let the adults and the children have our tools to deal with what's going on. And, you know, how would you suggest a way that this could happen? Maybe when they decide to change, you know, that.
I think that it's down to us, because these frightened, fearful members of the public, whoever they are, if they don't know what we can do, they can't look for us. I think it's down to us to start shouting now, start shouting and shouting about what the tools we use can do.
What specifically? What tools specifically?
Oh, the first thing that I'm offering free, I have it set up to offer as a free video. I've recorded a video of the now state. I call it instant calm. It's the first thing I give everybody, because what people need to have is, the child and the parent, what they need to have is an understanding that they have some control. And the now state, and I anchor it with a trigger. I don't just leave it to go to your now state. So I anchor it with a trigger, 3 fingers.
For example.
So when we've got through that process, then I will set up the anchor of 3 fingers together means it takes you there.
Right, so let's explain, because some people watching might not understand the now state. So maybe, should we ask Terry to just, because obviously Terry, Terry, if you wouldn't mind jumping in now, just to explain the now state and how to do it, maybe, that'd be great.
Can I counter offer?
Oh, please do.
I'd like to counter offer, because what we can do with that kind of thing is we can put in little links to videos, and that will, because otherwise we're going to be explaining the now state for 10-15 minutes, and that's,
I understand that.
So all these things that we've mentioned, like the now state, Linda can drop her link in for her video on the now state. I can drop my link in on the page, on the Facebook page for that. Then people can get it from there in their own time.
That's perfect. And also, but the now state is about getting in the present, isn't it? So it's not focusing.
Yeah.
It's about having changing your perspective, isn't it? It's about not being in the tininess of what's happening. Expanding out, drawing out of that. And I've offered it on a home ed site where at the last count it was over 400 people what wanted my link.
Brilliant.
They've all got it, and so this is what's changed. This is what this challenge has changed for us. People are clamoring for help, and there is no barrier, there's no resistance. I've always offered it free, but now I'm saying, right, it's free, and I've got more free things. People are willing to share it like mad, and they are so grateful. So grateful. This is a great thing you're doing. Now, I was always doing it.
Absolutely.
But now there's a perceived need, isn't there?
Yeah, of course.
People know they need help now.
And it works so quickly as well, the now state.
Quickly.
It's instantaneous. Well, within 20 minutes, I had a client yesterday that we shifted the perception from panic and negativity into now, and it all went. All that went. So, it's a tool and a half. Is there anyone else that would like to share anything about this? About this child, teacher, parent kind of issue? Is there anyone else that would like to share? No. Okay. No, that's fine.
I've got one thing. Just quickly, I think we forget that everything that's happening in the world at the moment. The kids, they just talk to each other in the playground and everywhere, and the fear just grows. And if and they know a lot more than we think they do, and so it's being really open with them, but also calming and reassuring, and so they feel secure, and giving them the facts rather than all this sort of stuff that's just blowing out of all proportion now, and the fear that's going around, and all these scary statistics, and the kids are all just thinking, are you going to die? Is my parent going to die? Is my grandparent going to die? What's happening? And we just need to be aware that they know a lot, so let's be mindful of that, and giving them the right sort of information so they can feel safe and secure. The fact that the chances of anything happening to them or anyone around them is still quite low, and so they need to know that.
Of course it is, because all we're seeing is blasts of how many people are death and negativity, rather than how much success there has been in getting through this virus, and it is a scary place, but there is a small percentage. Has anyone got any anything that they can say about that, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to come in on that, because there's a lot of, even as we're talking now, we're presupposing lots of things that don't necessarily have to even be presupposed in our speaking. In terms of perceptions, I mean, I've made quite a few videos, and in fact my whole life has been developed and devoted to looking at perceptions, and looking at perceptions through the filter of our inability to actually see what's actually out there and know what's actually out there. I mean, as a big picture example, we had in the early 1900s, we had Niels Bohr, who's doing experiments on light, and science was about to say, like, we know everything about science, we know everything, it's all Newtonian physics, it's all this, it's all that, the other, let's close the doors. The only thing they didn't understand was gravity and light. So when they experimented for those things, it's a very, very famous experiment with Niels Bohr, where he found that light actually traveled in a paradoxical way that they couldn't actually explain particularly. So which was then the invention of the quantum field and quantum thinking, which then blew out the everyday notion of how science works, you know, absolutely. So when we started to understand there's lots of things we don't actually know. And Niels Bohr's basically, his philosophical conclusion was that what we measure for, we will find. And I think that's very, very, very important. What we measure for in life is what we are going to find. So if we measure for fear, we'll find fear. If we measure for whatever we measure for life is bad, we will find life is bad. And it's that permeable. And our brains are actually made of electrons. Our thoughts, not actually the material. The material is Newtonian physics. But our brains, the way we think, and our thought mechanisms are based on electrons, which is light waves. In other words, they're permeable. They're able to change quite quickly. And what we're discovering is, and what I've discovered through my life and through experience, is what we start to perceive is our own realities, and then we're projecting those realities out into the world. And we did a little experiment on one of my courses where we sent a guy out of the room. We told everybody that this guy, we said, this is not true. We're going to tell you something that's absolutely not true. Now, remember that. And we said to them in really, really clear language, this is not true.
Yeah.
And we said, that guy out there, he killed his best friend's dog. And we said, this is not true. We made it up. It's all made up. Then we brought him back and sent him on a break, and they all avoided that guy completely. We brought them back and we said, what happened then? They said, what? They didn't even realize they'd completely ignored him. There's a big gap around him, like he had some kind of smell around him or something like that. And that's only us dropping one little idea in that wasn't true. And then we said it wasn't true, but they still couldn't handle the fact that it wasn't true.
And that's because our brain deletes and distorts and generalizes, right?
Yeah.
Because we choose what we want to hear, we choose what we want to see, and we choose everything that so why don't we choose to try and see the positives rather than the negatives? Try and bring it back to...
Whichever way, I agree with Daniel, whichever way it is. I mean, I can focus on a negative and then quite enjoy it if I want to, or I can focus on a positive and quite enjoy it. To me, you know, the development of human being is to have an individual choice about how you perceive life and what you decide life is all about, rather than when fear comes along. And it was Hermann Goering, one of the Nazi Germany. Hermann Goering is one of the chief decision makers for the Nazis. He said, if you want to control a population, first of all you scare them, and then you tell them that they can't do anything about that. You scare them with an idea, you tell them they can't do anything about it to achieve the success with that idea, and then you will control them. You control whole races with putting up an idea that cannot be in a way challenged, or if you challenge it, you're seen as a perpetrator of the problem, or a sympathizer with, you know, not peace or something like that, or you're but whatever it is, if you can scare people and then say that they can't do anything about it, then you can control the whole race of people. So my flavor is getting back to where people can actually decide for themselves what they think is true, look at the fact of it. I mean, people might not realize that up to 600,000 people a year die of everyday flu.
A lot of people.
Just want to say that again, up to 600,000 people a year die of everyday flu.
Yeah.
There you go. So your body just acknowledged that.
It did actually, didn't it?
Yes, that's the
Look
truth.
at that. Oh dear.
So we need to look at this in a really factual way, and all the presuppositions which are out there is death is bad, death shouldn't be allowed. Can we assure ourselves against death? Death is a natural artifact of being alive. It happens, and up to 600,000 people it happens to every year. We need to actually just put that as and microbes and viruses are actually here to do us a favor. They destroy everything that shouldn't be here. They look for weaknesses, they apply themselves to weaknesses, and they try to get rid of anything that's not supposed to be here, just like microbes would and viruses in the biological world. In the natural world, in winter it takes away everything that shouldn't be there. So the focus would be not to disregard that we don't like, not to disregard death and say, oh, it's great, but to strengthen ourselves and our immune systems over a period of time, mentally and physically, so that we have a good, defense mechanism. And then if people die, then that is a part of life, and we should allow that and accept that and then move on. So that's where my flavor of this talk comes in there.
Thank you, Terry. Can I ask anyone else about the death angle, the process of death? People are scared of the process. People are scared of death itself. Is there anyone on here that we can talk about a bit more about that kind of thing and how to cope with those kind of fears and things?
Well, if I can add a few words here, not necessarily about death, although it could cover it a bit, but because we're dealing with all kind of information, you see, and then you have on the side the scientific opinion, which is more reliable than, let's say, the conspiracy theories. But the truth is that the scientists do not know neither, and science does not have the answer to all the questions neither. So what I do, and I use that a lot in my coaching session, what is real and true now? That's the question that I ask people, because this is where it becomes harder to manage what we feel and how we deal with this, because we do not distinguish between what is real and what is not. And I have personally been through this, a bit of period of confusion since this happens. It's like a sort of living in a movie, or like, I don't know where I am anymore. So if who has been practicing yoga and Ayurveda, it's not that I'm somewhere above, but I have been looking inside for a long time. I have this type of experience. I'm thinking some other people who never looked into this could have even harder time to distinguish the truth, what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
And the truth is that we don't know. And that's the most important thing that one should tell oneself. I don't know what's going on, rather than go for a theory or another. Because, it could be that there is somebody out there, a big, conspiracy that, it could be. But do you know that it's true? We don't know. And the scientists say that it's deadly, it's very dangerous. Is that true for you as an individual, with your own immune system, with your own system of beliefs? Will that affect you? You don't know. But where you have the mastery is basically in how you feel now. And when we chunk it down through NLP questions, it's like, what is true and real now? How do you feel? And usually when people feel anxious about all kind of things outside of this global weird situation that we're in, it comes down to physical sensation. This is real now. My body is real now. Yeah. And I feel these sensations, and I feel a knot in my stomach, and I have difficulty breathing, and I deal with that. There is my mastery. There is what I can control, and there is where I can do something about it. With this is real. And true now, and I'm breathing, and I have mastery over how I want to feel. So just a simple, silly, childish exercise. Imagine a bubble of health playing, moving it around your body. That in itself can be something that will shift that state. Because basically what gives us a bad feeling in the moment, it's a bad state. It's a bad state in the body. And when you are aware of what's happening in the body, then you can be actually more proactive and take the right decision. Should I call? Do I need help now?
Yes.
Like medical help, or is just an anxiety that I can cope with myself, or have a call with one of these wonderful master NLP practitioners here for free. It can help me. So that being in the now, in that sense of what's real and true now, will give you more choice, the real choice. What do I do now? And
so someone
learn the master.
that's suffering with maybe breathing difficulties, if they're getting those sensations. I mean, I spoke to, as I said, I've spoken to a few clients now that have got lung issues, and by putting them in the now state, they've calmed down and almost they felt better. So, but if there's someone physically going through breathing symptoms, maybe by fear and maybe by actual physical illness, how would you help them?
Well, basically, you have to go, you just, it depends. You cannot generalize, you know, it has to be case by case. Yeah, but you basically just have to, you go through, what is your worry, for instance? What do you worry? What's the worst scenario? What do you imagine that is the worst case scenario? And take that picture and destroy it. Cancel it. Put it black and white, make it small, throw it away, replace it with something else.
Yes,
if that's the case. But that's why I'm saying, coming into what do you feel now in the body, many people don't get to make that connection into what's happening here and actually what's happening here.
Yeah,
because it could be what you think it's something like a major case scenario translates into some sort of physical sensation in your stomach, in your neck muscles, and in the way you breathe.
Manifesting
so if we work with these, if we work with these, then that image maybe dissipates as well.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, I love that so much. What is now?
What's happening? I don't know. The truth is, I have no idea what's going on. What I know is that I'm at a house with my girl and with my husband, and we have 3 cats, and then we can cook our food, and this is what matters. It brings me to what's real, and it brings all of us to what's real, that we have a body, that there is pleasure in cooking, that there is pleasure in daily life, that we can wake up and do what we have to do. And this is what's real and has always been real, but we haven't seen it because we were too busy buying, purchasing, becoming something, achieving goals.
Danielle, so is there anybody, because I wanted to come on this as well. That was really, really beautiful point, Susanna.
Yes.
I wanted to say something else about that, but I wanted to see if anybody else had anything that wanted to bring in anything, because I've already spoken.
Yeah,
I want to. Can you hear me?
Where are you? Let's see you.
You have to push the button.
There you are. I see you. Hi, my darling.
So I want to add to something that Susanna said. It's how we can help ourselves when we feel fear, actually. And I think we can approach it from the point of view that it's not really bad to feel fear. It's an emotion, and it's one of the emotions of the many emotions that we experience in our lives. And it's always there. It always has been. And we can just embrace it. We can really go back to our body, how Susanna said, and just feel it and stay with it and see what's happening and own it. Okay, now I feel fear because ABC. And then from owning it and just really going back into the body, breathing, we can create a space between ourselves and the situation. And instead of react situation, make a smart decision, a little bit like you said. And also what is important, I think, in these times, and I think it really shifts our approach to daily life, because sometimes we act from the point of things, we take things for granted and we are certain, and there is some kind of rigidity, and think right now we have to reevaluate ourselves, like on daily basis. Okay, maybe yesterday I had those beliefs, but what's important right now? Maybe I should change them beliefs because today they are irrelevant to what's happening.
Yes.
So we can really just stop and learn how to reevaluate our beliefs, because we need to be flexible. And those times they call us for being flexible and for like it's unknown, like Suzanne, like we know. So we have to just be flexible because we cannot decide anything ahead. We cannot control. At the moment, we cannot control the circumstances. We can only control our power to decide to respond instead of react. And I think that can be the solution, just to stay with the body or use any technique that is good for you to calm yourself down and then respond, instead of reacting. And I think giving, for me, body is important, so we can give ourselves the support from going into the body and feel and stay for a minute or two, and that shifts, that changes, the fear alleviates, and then you have like broader perspective. Okay, how do I want to act now?
Can I ask a question as well? So there's a lot of people in my area, my situation, well, not necessarily my own, but in my field where I work, which is the entertainment industry and the gigging community, where people are losing jobs and money, and fear is rife there, and for an uncertain amount of time. So no one really knows what's going on. So I mean, it's about getting, can I ask a question, as in, how would you advise people to cope with these things and to excel and get outside the mindset of where we are now into the greater picture of things?
I think first of all, again, come back to the body, and secondly, I mean, things will change. You know, maybe what you needed yesterday, you don't need it today, and I think it's like a little bit, as I said, reevaluate, but also trust. You know, I can do something different. I can have different ways, or I can discover or maybe find different ways of dealing with what's coming. You know, it's again about being flexible and resourceful. Right now we have resources for free in online. It's like endless. You can teach yourself. And I think if we stuck to rigid idea, I don't know, I own small business and I make £1 million per year and I need to do this and I need to have that much money, then yes, we're gonna suffer the consequences of the rigid beliefs, you know, because we can change the beliefs that, well, I will find something else. You will survive, you know, unless the...
Can I just say as well, it's about value as well. What do you value in your life? Maybe rearranging your values as to what is important to you. And Terry, can you speak a little bit?
Can I just finish just 1 minute? And today I spoke with a lady that's 86 years old. And she said, oh, I don't remember times like that. Well, maybe the war. And then I said, like, people survived Second World War in Europe. You know, I mean, not to compare that, but, you know, they survived, you know, and I think we can, I mean, I don't want to use word survive because it seems like, you know, like it's death or life matter, which it isn't really yet, or maybe it's never going to be, you know, it's just a virus, as we said, kind of like a flu. So it's not deadly virus. Some people died, maybe. Well, I don't know. I don't want to go into the conspiracy, but we don't know, right? And it's also evolution, like Terry said before, you know, that we are earth as well. We are made of the earth material, so it's evolving, you know.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Because I talk too much, so I can give.
No, that was wonderful. Thank you, Dagmar. That's brilliant. Has anyone else does anyone like to comment?
Yes, could I add something to that? Yes. It's about learning to handle uncertainty differently, isn't it? We haven't been used to, 3 generations of us since the war ended, 3 generations at least have not known uncertainty. And I'm reminded of what Joyce Meyer says about fear. She says, well, worry is a down payment on something that may never happen. And I like that perspective. I think we can do something with that. So in practical terms, things are happening that can make the future look bleak. People are losing their income. A friend of mine, her income was stopped at a stroke with the cancelling of the exams and the schools closing, because she is a tutor and an exam tutor and an examiner, a marker for exams. So that's it, it's done. What I'm thinking we can do is, rather than going straight for, oh, we will have no money, we can't work, we won't be able to eat. The truth is, we don't know how. That would be what we can replace those thoughts with. At the moment, we don't know how we can eat. We don't know how we can pay some bills. And there are things we can stop, aren't there? There are payments we can stop. There's practical advice for this. But I think that mindset, hang on to the truth of it, the absolute truth. Absolute truth is the most important thing. It's been touched on already here this morning. The absolute truth is you cannot state that you will have no money or that you will not be able to buy food, because that time's not come yet, and things will happen. As the previous speaker said, people survived the war. Not everybody, but people did survive. So let's hold on to the truth of it, which is we don't know yet how we will cope, how we will manage.
And we're very blessed, actually. We've got the power of the internet. We've got connection. If anyone's really struggling, people are pulling together left, right and centre to help. And I think that's the most magical thing about all of this, because no one wants to see anyone struggle. And really, we've got each other. And out of all of this virus, this madness, what we can really count on is the kindness of human beings and the humanity, because that's who we are and that's what we've got. That's all we need. That's all we need.
So Danielle, can I come in?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
I've noticed that there is a couple of other people who haven't spoken yet.
Yeah, of course.
So I've got plenty to say on a slightly different angle, but also wanted to open it up to see, some people haven't spoken. If they needed to, and if they've got a valued point that we haven't made already, please show yourself now.
Can I actually just interject in adding some different points on what we've spoken about, which is I work a lot with the universal laws, which is kind of like my own set of presuppositions. The law of attraction is obviously the most known one for anybody that might be listening that doesn't know. And the law of relativity states that there is no such thing as good or bad, positive or negative. It's only what you give it. It's only the energy that you give it. And in this time, you can either choose to have the lack mentality of, wow, okay, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills, I'm losing clients and all of that. Or you can have the mindset to choose to be like, okay, this is an opportunity to restructure the way I work. And like you said, you can take things into the online space. So for people that are tutors or in the educational space, go onto YouTube, find out how to make videos. There's so much that you can do in this time. And there are so many opportunities available. I'm involved, I've got a product side to my business as well. And this weekend, we're actually hosting a virtual market so that people can go on into the online space and still interact with people, have this market space, but not necessarily have that in contact space. Wow. So there are different ways of reimagining it. So I think if you choose to look at this as an opportunity of reimagining things, again, you are giving it the energy that you wanted to have. That's all I wanted to say.
I love that. That's just brilliant, because choice. Choose what we're doing and what we're looking at. Kate, have you got anything actually, Kate, have you got anything? I've got something else that I wanted to say. Well, I've got it in my head, but Kate, please.
Yeah, I know Lee hasn't said anything yet either.
Lee, I'm so sorry. Yeah, of course.
I'll just quickly say something just about change, that change is the only constant that we have, and that if the things staying the same is the only anomaly. If something stays the same for very long, there's something odd about that. The change is always happening. We're always exchanging. Our whole of our bodies is changing. Every 7 years, and we've got a whole new body that's created. So we can do anything. Our bodies are amazing healing machines, and so even if we are not feeling that great today, we know our body is doing all it needs to do to make us healthy again, and that's what it do. We're always moving towards health, and so that's a mindset. If you think about being ill, then you're going to focus on being ill, and your body will start feeling more ill. But if you focus on wellness, then your body will move towards wellness and give it the energy it needs for that to flow. And so it is about accepting change as the only constant in life, and how can you align yourself with that change in the best way. And then so knowing who you are and what you want, and then being in alignment with that, then everything flows from that, and abundance comes and health comes, all well-being comes from that place. And so I just wanted to make that point.
Thanks, Kate. That was beautiful. That was really, really real. And Lee, where are you, my darling? Where's Lee? Lee, are you here? Disappeared. I can't hear you, Lee, or see you. Kylie, is
No,
she there?
I don't think she's Lee's here.
Oh, okay, that's absolutely fine. No worries, darling.
So can I come in on that one then?
Please do. Yeah, of course, of course.
So I love what everybody said. It's really, really good, valuable points from lots of different angles. So really, really healthy, and it's almost like having a meal here, sitting and having a meal and sampling all different portions of the meal. It's just really lovely. A couple of angles I wanted to bring in. They're similar, but not similar as well. So for a start, for me, my premise is always, to me, my presupposition of what we're doing on the planet is for all of us to develop. So developing ourselves, to me, is the top value of what we're doing here. Whether we're sick, whether we've got money, whether we've got no money, whether we've got relationships, whether we haven't got relationships, are we developing who we are? That's my primary value and goal. So that's what I'm always looking at. How do we develop ourselves? Whatever's happening on the outside, what are we developing on the inside? So I think that's a question for everybody who's listening to ask yourself. What are you developing, and how does this help you in any way develop an area of your life that's weaker, or a strength that you could even strengthen for yourselves? And to me, we all have a lot of abilities that we either don't know about, or we've forgotten about, or that we're ignoring. A huge amount of powerful abilities that a human being, you listening now, has got. And we've got this thing. There is actually, when we talk about the third eye and being able to know things beyond knowing, there is actually a gland here. It's not just a woo-woo kind of made up, happy, tree-hugging person's thought. There's a pituitary gland right here which does things. It's one of the master glands which controls choice and also the chemicals in your body. So when you have a thought and you actually manage that thought, that will actually inform the chemistry of your body, how to feel about the thought. That's an actual ability that every single one of you has got. So you can actually decide how you think about all these things.
Exactly.
To the extent whereby, I mean, there was somebody, I was in a group of people a few years back, and one of the people fainted, and it just went out cold completely. And there was a few, we took her up to a hotel room, put her onto a bed, and we just kind of meditated. We went into the now, as we've talked about a few times, and we just used our third eye to say, do we need a hospital? Do we need a doctor, ambulance? Or can we just give her a little bit of a homeopathic pill? Because I'm not a homeopath, but somebody else had one. And that would actually be okay in this situation. And we meditated on that quite briefly. We decided she would actually get better by herself. And she did. In an hour, she was absolutely perfect and back to normal. That was a decision that we made about somebody else in terms of the best possible route for her. You've got that ability, everybody. But also with one of my clients, she had psoriasis, terrible psoriasis from 11 years old to 16. Horrible thing for a kid to have, especially at that age for a woman. And the doctors, all the doctors did is give a steroid cream. This is, again, from the outside, influence from the outside onto the person.
Yeah.
And 5 different doctors, steroid cream, that's all we can do. So I wanted to show her she had a power inside her, that she could know things beyond doctors and beyond what she was being told from the outside. So I got a few bottles of essential oil, and I put them in a line, and I gave her a pendulum. I showed you how a pendulum works. And I said, it is about you. This is not woo-woo again. It is about your body actually can give you a message. And I asked her to find the one essential oil that was good for her body using a pendulum. And she found the exact one. Out of her many, she found the exact one which was perfect for her body. Now I showed her the book that said this oil is for psoriasis. And she couldn't believe it, blown away that she'd actually found herself a way of finding a route. So I say, if this is just that kind of thinking is a beginning for you, I can give you the idea right now that that's possible, but then you can go and practice that yourself.
I love that. Trusting your inner, trusting that you just do know what you need right now. You need, and you'll get it, you know. Lee, do you want to expand on anything? Because I've missed your lovely face.
No, sorry, I've been having a few technical difficulties. I've swapped devices and all kinds of things, but to be honest, I've just been enjoying learning from all of you right now. So yeah, nothing in particular comes up, but yeah.
That's brilliant. Oh, I'm glad you're back.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question? I've been having difficulties sleeping, and I'm sure a lot of people have as well. And it's not, well, I suppose it is the getting to sleep, but it's when I am asleep, I'm waking up like maybe 12:30 or 2:30 in the morning, and just being awake, and I'm not got the telly on, not got the radio on, and I haven't got any thoughts. I haven't really got anything going on that I am aware of consciously. I'm just awake, and I don't know whether it's my body, just because I'm not 100% well at the moment, although I'm going to tell myself I am, but although I'm not, reality, I'm not 100%, and it's been about a week now that I've been.
I'm gonna come in on this straight away.
Okay.
I'm gonna jump in right away on this one, because my intuition,
yes,
tuning into you, is this is not about you at all. You actually worry for the rest of the world.
Yes, you're right.
You haven't actually got anything going on. That's why you haven't got any thoughts going on about you, because you're actually quite you have a lot of empathy as well. So you're actually feeling everything that's happening in the world, and you're taking it on board. So my suggestion, although you should never give people suggestions, but anyway,
I'd like your suggestion.
is
Please.
you clear out the energy, everybody else's energy, and come back to you with your own energy, your strength and your root, and let that go for now, because there is issues in the world that you can't do anything about. So clear yourself, and then leave yourself as a strength.
And how would you suggest I do that? Because I tried getting in the now state.
There's a thing called NLP out there.
Well, I know that. I tried to get in the now state last night.
Well, Ho'oponopono is a great one, where you put yourself into as if you're in a theatre on a seat. Okay. You look at and there's a stage, an empty stage in front of you. Now, you'll get on with that idea because you're an entertainer.
Yeah.
So there's an empty stage in front of you. Now, we can't leave it empty, can we, Danielle, this stage? So what you're going to do is you're going to bring onto that stage anybody else's energy that you are not absolutely complete with. So for you, it might be the whole world. You might have to put the whole world on there and all their problems, stick them on the stage. Notice that you've got a connection, like almost like an umbilical cord energy connection with all of that. And then you need to let it go, cut it, almost like some electronic scissors, cut that cord, let all of that energy go, see it going. Any thoughts you were having with that energy as well, let that go as well. See it going into the background, disappearing, and leaving yourself, and then taking back your own power, your own thinking, your own thoughts back into your body, and let that other energy go completely.
I love that.
But it's gone.
That's a good idea. That's a very good idea. And Linda, what you were saying as well about, the blue pot that you were talking about before.
Oh, yes. The blue.
That's just sprung to mind when Terry said that, because Terry, that's just brilliant, and I'm going to try that, and it will work. But Linda, I just brought me that right back to you.
Yeah, shall I talk about that? Because that's a simple thing and very powerful. So you have in your mind, you have a blue bowl, a blue glass bowl. It's one of those beautiful wide and shallow Italian glass bowls. It has a lid on top. The lid is made from polished wood with the grain. You can see the grain in it. And the lid just sits on top. It doesn't lock or click into place. It just sits on top, creates a seal as it sits there. And then when there's anything at the front of mind that you don't want at the front of mind, maybe because it's upsetting and it's useless, maybe because you can't do anything about it just yet. You do need to address this, but you can't do it yet. Maybe it is just worries coming through. Then you just pop it in the bowl. You lift up the lid. Personally, I only lift it up a little so that nothing else comes out that I've put in there previously. You put it in there, and having put it in there, you then immediately replace that space in your mind with something else, with something positive or happy or different. It's really important for this to work that you don't leave a space. So you put something else in there. Everything is safe in the blue bowl. You can safely put them in there because they won't go. They're not going to be destroyed. They're safe in there. And anytime you do need to think about this again to address it, you just think, and it will come back into your mind. And it's so easy to do. And I've never had a client yet that couldn't use it.
Thank you so much, Linda. That's brilliant. That is actually brilliant. Has anyone else got any other?
Yeah, can I add something to that?
Please, yeah.
Because that brings to the second point I wanted to bring into the conversation today, which is this playfulness and being like creative and curious about what's happening. And in times like this, me too, I have like for the past 3 nights, I fell asleep at 4 o'clock in the morning only.
Yeah.
Like literally white nights. I just couldn't sleep, but I use it in different ways. And this is the time when the mind is alert to be playful, because especially as an NLP practitioner or master, you might have tools so that you can start playing with images, you can start playing with colors. So I just put myself in all kinds of machines that have buttons, and I start the energy running through the body, and I have buttons for everything. Or I just create all kinds of pictures, and I play with these pictures of something that I wish to have, like of me healthy, my daughter healthy, people healthy, a better world. And I play with them, I make them rotate in a circle, I bring them closer and closer, I make them go. So I'm kind of playful with that. But what is very powerful as an exercise for everyone here and everyone listening is, because we were talking and Terry made a very interesting point in terms of this power that we all have. But since you can't really access and you don't believe it for now, there is this beautiful exercise that will enable you to access these powers, which is simply to imagine or to visualize or simply think of you having passed through this, like a future version of you.
Oh,
in 3 years from now, when all this is over, when you would have learned a lot, you would have grown a lot, you would have developed strengths, you would have discovered values that you didn't know you had that were important to you. And what type of person would you be in 2 years from now? And you don't have to know much about it, because your unconscious mind knows already what skills, what values, what strengths, what powers you need to have now in order to go through this well. So you just try the best that you can to visualize this version of you, future version of you, in a couple of years from now, stronger, better, smarter, more, alert, healthier, or just simply a better person, that person that you were born to be, simply. Because this is the opportunity to become that. And so you imagine that, and you just create a connection with that version of you. Just like you visualize a transfer of energy from you to her, and just allow the data to come in. You don't need to know what it is, but the data will be transferred to you. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you so much, all of you. You're amazing people. Oh my God, I'm so lucky to have you in my life. Sorry, Lee, yeah, go ahead.
Can I also say, on that point of what, I'm not sure her name just said,
sorry, Susanna.
Susanna. I have I work quite a lot with those sort of images that she's talking about now. And I've actually created in my mind a sort of a workshop, like a castle workshop, where I've got different rooms. So if I'm not feeling well, talking about the pendulum and stuff, I'll go into the room, and with a pendulum, I'll look at the little, I imagine like an old fashioned, like those doctors had all those funny old bottles and things. And then I'll just sort of imagine that whatever potion or lotion or whatever is coming to me that I need, or oil or something. And then I've got a library in there that I can go do research if I can't access stuff, or I can't find it, or there's guides and angels or whoever I need to kind of talk to at whatever point. So it's kind of expanding on that and playing within a space. We're also a movie theater where I go and watch, and I actually stopped smoking that way. By just going to that future self and watching the non-smoking on that movie. So it's super powerful what she was just saying, and I certainly would encourage that. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh gosh, wow, absolutely brilliant. I think, is there anything else that anyone would like to bring forward? Because I think I've learned so much. Go on, sorry, Kate. Yeah.
It's just again about knowing what's real. Part of it is being okay with not knowing, but also knowing what's real and asking yourself and going into the body and saying, what is real, what's happening, asking if you've got a pain or a fear or something, just asking it, what do you need?
Yeah.
What's your message? What do you need? You could put it outside of yourself. As we were talking, you put it in the bowl, but you can also ask it to sit next to you and ask it, what do you need? What is it? You can imagine it, if it were an animal, what would it be? And try and visualize it that way. But by putting it outside of yourself and not identifying with it, because it's not you, it's just a message that you need to receive, And then
Yes.
actually, it's a child sitting on your lap asking, what do you need? What do you need from me? There are lots of different ways that you can visualize it and ask what's necessary. And for me, I just go inside and I just get I don't get a word, or a voice, it's more of just a knowing, and I just know, the answer just comes.
Right.
Whereas for my husband, he sees a screen and words on a screen. So I just say to him, what's on the, if he's got a problem or whatever, or a pain, I just say, what's on the screen? And he just sees a word on the screen and it comes up, and then he knows. So it's finding out for you, everyone's different, but finding a way that you can communicate with that wisdom inside of you that we all have. And once you've got that, and you can find the truth of what's really happening, what the message is, then a lot of times it just simply goes. The fear, the panic, the pain, whatever it is, it will just let go once it's been heard. And it's a case of finding out how to listen to that. And another way of doing it is like putting it in the third person. Like for me, I could say, oh, Kate's feeling angry. So it's already out there. I'm looking at myself now. Kate's feeling angry.
Oh, yeah.
What's that message? And so it's just a case of finding a way that you can do that. And there are lots of different techniques for that. So I just wanted to.
Kate, I loved that what you did, because I remember when you did that with me, because I have gastric issues, although they are getting better actually since we did the thing, thanks to that. But so we when we did it, we had the bench, and you literally went through it, and you, can you just explain a bit more about that? Because what I had was literally putting it back in, but when we took it out and I left it there, it felt great. So could you just explain that technique?
Yeah, it's a really simple thing, but sometimes it helps to be guided through it a bit before you can do it for yourself. But basically what you do is you go into yourself and say, well, where do I most feel me? Where's the part that feels most of me at the moment? And you go to that place. And then you say, once you've found that place, you then say, well, what's in between me and feeling fine? What's in between that at the moment? And whatever comes up, just put it on a bench. Imagine you're sitting in a park and you've got a bench, and you just place it on the bench, or you can do whatever, you can visualize whatever you like, but just place it there. And then, is there anything else? What else is in between me and feeling fine? Okay, and then whatever comes up, and you don't even need to see it or anything, your unconscious mind will just take it and put it on the bench. And you will know, and just keep stacking them up until you know that that's finished, okay? So your unconscious mind will say, is there anything else? And then you can ask yourself, apart from all of that, am I fine? And this was when you get a yes, an inner yes, your body will tell you, then everything's on the bench. So it's all gone, like you with the gastric acid.
Yeah.
It was on the bench and suddenly it was gone. You didn't feel it anymore. So you could just leave it there.
We leave it there.
You can leave it and you can decide what to do with it. Say, well, do I just want it to disappear into the ground and disappear? Or do I want it to just sort of evaporate into the air and float over the horizon? Or do I need to change it in some way? Or is it a part of me that I still need? Is it still got a message for me that I need to hear? So you can then ask your body, well, which one am I most magnetically drawn to right now that I need to work with now? Yeah. And then it will come forward, and then you can just work with that. And you can work with it outside of yourself, or if you feel okay with it, bring it back into yourself and work with it that way, or leave it on the bench and work with it there. And in that way, you can resolve a lot of things, a lot of emotions, feelings in the body. They're all messages, and so it's just finding that message, get the learning, and then move forward.
Brilliant. Kate, thank you so much. Well, I mean, I think that I just want to say thank you to every single one of you for doing this with me, and I cannot wait to do it again with you all, because I'm so grateful for I've learned so much today, and also to get things reaffirmed in my head as well, just for myself and also for anyone that's going to be watching this on a replay. Now, I didn't get any questions emailed to me or messaged to me, and I don't know if you guys did, but maybe people will watch this and realize the value that we can actually give. And if anyone does watch this on a replay or wants to know anything for our next live session, please just message us. It will all be confidential, and we don't have to say any names, and we can bring that forward in the discussion to everyone and see what people have to say about that, because then it will be effective for you and also for everyone else that might need that answer. So I just want to say thank you, and I think that we could probably wrap it up now, because yeah, I think we got so much out of this, and I know I did. And so thank you all, and thank you all for watching. Anyone that has been watching or that is going to watch, thank you. And yeah, stay in touch, join our site. So we're going to go on to someone else's the next time, and then someone else's next time, and you'll just get to know us all. And we have an amazing pool of knowledge and creativity and passion from where I've learned this. So all down to Terry for training us. So thank you. And we can just go from there. So thank you all. I think that's good for us. Yeah. Anything closing to say?
I mean, I just think if Kylie maybe could stop recording and then we can have a quick chat maybe just afterwards. I don't know.
Kylie, thank you for running this, darling. Thank you.
Kylie, well done.
Cool.
Kylie there? Where's Kylie?